we have a bit of a stalemate here now. This is the end of This Week in Wrestling. And our Seg 3 this week is discussing Extreme Rules.
It is.
So, who's going to talk about the card? Do you want to flip a coin for it?
Well, how about you do a run-through of the card?
Okay.
I'll give a run-through of the highlights,
okay.
if you want to call them them, and you can give a run-through of the O-shites.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So, as far as the card goes, Carl, we saw a randomly booked, and I do mean randomly booked, match between Kevin Owens and Buddy Murphy, or just Murphy, who knows, which was, I don't know if it was officially a pre-show, but sort of an opener, if you will. And we saw Kevin Owens taking the win. We then had the New Day versus Shinsuke and Cesaro with, for me, a surprising result of Shinsuke and Cesaro taking the win, which not necessarily the wrong result. I actually quite like it, but a surprising one nonetheless because I didn't expect them to lose them so quick. Then we had the Bayley versus Nikki Cross title match, in which we saw Bayley retain and take the win. We had Apollo versus MVP, or more accurately, we did not have that, but we had MVP taking the win, I guess, like by forfeit apparently. But we can discuss that a little bit further in the O-Shite because it's there. We saw Rey Mysterio and Seth in the Eye for an Eye match with Seth taking the win. Then we saw Asuka versus Sasha Banks with again, this needs to be discussed further, but Sasha taking the win. We then had, sort of. We then had Drew defending his title against Dolph with what felt like the logical result of Drew taking the win. And then we had Braun versus Bray, if you can call it versus, with the cinematic weird Swampy Swamp match with Bray taking the win, maybe? I don't know. It's a movie, so it's hard to tell. But we'll talk about that some more too. So that was the actual card. Carl, would you like to mention some of the highlights from that night?
Absolutely. So, interestingly, the pre-show match, without any thought going into it whatsoever, between Kevin Owens and Buddy Murphy, or just Buddy.
Hey,
not
buddy.
My buddy, guy.
Not my guy, friend.
So that match was probably the best match of the night, and it was on the pre-show.
It's fucking shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, like, legit, what an absolute waste of Kevin Owens since his return. Like, after the Seth Rollins thing, he did that promo. He's going to go on to bigger and better things. He fucking disappeared, came back, got involved with Apollo Crews for some reason. That didn't work. Now he's back with Seth Rollins and Murphy again. Really? What the fuck? Like, if you've not got any plans for him, or you've got no idea how to use him, get him on SmackDown, or even fucking hell, NXT, right? Yeah. He'd be great there. He's dying on Raw. He's doing fuck all.
Stop it, you're killing him.
And he still fucking ends up pulling off probably the match of the night, and he's on the fucking pre-show. He even changed his name on Twitter to Kick Off Kevin Owens, like Kick Off like KO. Like, Jesus, like, you've got a fucking feel for the guy, really, haven't you? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why they just aren't doing anything with him, but
it's crazy, isn't it?
Madness, absolutely madness. But that match was, from a quality standpoint, was definitely, in my opinion, one of the, if not the best of the night. Next highlight, so you mentioned it before, was the tag title change. So I'm just so happy for Cesaro, to be honest. I don't mean to like shit all over Shinsuke either, because yay, well done to you too. But it's not about you; it's about Cesaro. That guy just deserves it.
All about the Swiss Superman, or whatever he's called.
It is, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like the New Day are just synonymous with being the champs to the point where, what are the 8-time champs now or something?
8. Actually, this is the bit that worries me because they need another win to beat the Dudleys, I believe. So now they are titleless. If they win titles again, I don't know if they're going to tie or beat. Actually, apologies for that. But the next win is going to be a big one for them in terms of celebration, and I hope this hasn't been done as a mechanism for them to win them again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Cesaro and Shinsuke will hold it for long, if I'm honest.
Whether or not it goes back to... I've been commending them for the last few weeks now on how well they're looking as a tag team. So I'm very glad to see them win, and I really hope it's not a short run because I do think, other than not having a name, they are working really well as a tag team.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to wonder as well, was this just a case of opportunity? Because, it was probably going to go to what were those guys' names? Ironically, the Forgotten Sons. So I think
I
before,
think you're probably right there, to be honest.
yeah, because it seemed like that's the way they were going, like until shit hit the fan with those guys. So I don't know, maybe it's just by chance or by opportunity that it's ended up going to these. But I mean, I was made up, and the fact that it was Cesaro who got the win as well, and it was just clever the way they did it. Like, it looked like he was going to get fucking Hurricane rounded off, and he caught him, and then he used his strength to pick him up and bomb him through the tables. And yeah, it was just a good moment.
Display of why we think Cesaro is a really good wrestler as well.
100%. I'm still baffled. Like I feel like I'm saying this now more and more frequently. Like, I don't care that he can't talk. Get him a voice. Like, it might be funny. You've got Shayna Baszler who you fucking letting talk, and she's much worse than Cesaro ever would be on the mic. So
agreed.
Just fucking hell. Just
get him a Heyman.
Just get him. In fact, bring back Heyman. I thought he was going to be focusing more on his in-ring career. Apparently. Right. So
that's not
where the fuck is he?
He's still Brock's advocate, but Brock's at home. So
exactly. To just live with him. If like every time he goes into a different room of his house, I'm introducing the conqueror of the string. Whatever.
When Sable asks him what he wants for tea, and he's like, "My client, Brock, Paul, go home."
Says he will have the fish. So yes, I wanted to kind of. I think that's definitely a highlight. Like, no disrespect to New Day, and Soz for not kind of being all happy for you too, Shinsuke, but just for Cesaro, I'm made up that he's a champion again, and hopefully it's one that he can keep hold of and continue to get better. But nice to spice it up a bit in the tag division, I think.
Yeah, nice and spicy.
That could be their tag name. So the next highlight I've got is the Bayley and Nikki match. So the match itself was decent, I thought. I'm just not that invested in it. So I still think it's good enough to get a place on the highlights, but I felt it was super cheesy before the match, where everyone was trying to hype her up and get her pumped for it and stuff. And I don't know, that bit was a bit silly and a bit cringy, but the match itself was good. And I thought like Bayley doing heel work by using Nikki's own moves, and like Nikki taking the piss out of old school Bayley by copying her taunts and stuff like that. Like, there was little snippets in there from a storytelling standpoint.
There was
that I
some
thought
good work there between the two. And to be honest, I think this was really good for putting Nikki across as a good wrestler. The disappointment for me is similar to disappointments I've had with other matches, in that, well, mostly what I was moaning about with NXT, we knew what the result was going to be. It kind of took the luster out of it. Like, if Nikki had won, I'd have probably been quite shocked, and I'd have probably rated this a lot higher as well. But it just weren't going to happen. It weren't on the cards.
Yeah, agreed. I think I mentioned I wasn't that invested in it. I think as to what you just said there, it's probably because we never really believed anything was going to come of it. But I thought from a match quality standpoint, it was they did well. They told a good story. But yeah, just a bit of a.
Do you know what's crazy? And you might not agree, Carl, but wouldn't it have been a good story if Nikki had have won? Right, it was a nice shock victory and a good push for Nikki, and then Bayley doesn't have the title, and then Banks won, and that's what starts the feud between the two of them.
I mean, that would have been something interesting and
that would have felt so fluid, wouldn't it? What a shame.
I mean, I do have thoughts over how they might end up starting this feud now, to be honest. But we'll talk
I'm
about
interested to hear those.
When we come on to it. I've got it next as one of the highlights. But
I'm all over it then, Carl.
But I must stress, I don't know whether you want to talk about it now or in the O Shites, because I've got it as a highlight for the match, not for the finish.
I'll be honest, I might have put the finish in. Yeah, I think I have put the finish in the O Shites. The more I think about this finish, the more intrigued I'm as to where it's going to go. But we'll talk about the match, and I'll talk about why it's potentially an O Shite straight away, because I don't know if I'm still an O Shite on it now, and we'll have that discussion.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like, the match itself was awesome. Like, both of them brought it. It was one of the better women's matches I think I've seen all year. I thought they had really good chemistry with each other. It felt big. It felt like it could be, we could see title changes and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just thought it was really good. But then up until that finish, I mean, I'll let you speak around why you think it was an no-shite, and then I'll kind of comment on what I think, the reason why I think it's a no-shite, and what I think might happen next now.
You see, what I'll start out with first then. So what happened was the ref was incapacitated, as refs tend to get. And then rather than another ref getting involved, we had Bailey decide to be the ref and count the pin. So it is a weird screwy finish of like, was it official, etc., etc. And then the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, actually, why wouldn't it be official? She still counted the pin. I know she's not a ref, but the pin was still there. Like, do you call it a win? So I'm a little bit up and down. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, well, it's got me thinking about it. So maybe it's not truly an oh shite. I don't know. But I'm just a bit overdone with WWE screwy finishes where they're doing DQs or throwing things out or refs getting hurt, or that weird week where the ref got hurt and then it cut to break and then they just had another ref and it just became like nothing. And it's like, what's going on here? So it feels like an oh shite having such a screwy finish for the title match, but I'd be intrigued to see where they go with it at the same time.
Yeah, I think for me, so the match quality itself was so good that it feels like a bit of a cop out to do that finish. But I don't think it's going to be legit. So I think come SmackDown or Raw or whenever they next appear, I think we're going to find out. Well, it's going to be Raw, isn't it? Because it was the Raw title. So I think tonight we will find out that because Bailey wasn't a proper official, then it didn't count, and therefore, Sasha's gonna have to turn over the title back again. Blah blah blah. And then I think this could be what starts the feud between Bailey and Sasha, because Sasha can then be like, well, if you hadn't have done that, another ref would have come down and counted, and I would have won. Like, you cost me that match, and now I can't have it again. Blah blah blah. I'm coming for yours. So I just think because it was so screwy to finish, and because I don't know, I can't see them saying, okay, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? So I think she's definitely going to get stripped of it, and it's going to go back to Asuka. But yeah, I think this could be the catalyst for the feud of them too, because now that Shayna's back, I think what they're probably going to do is transition into Shayna and Asuka.
Right.
And then probably a little bit further down the line, go with that Shayna as champ against Bianca Belair.
Interesting.
Is my long-term booking vision for where they're going to go. But I think this is going to be overturned, and then this is what kicks off properly between them two.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I was kind of intrigued though to see a bit of a run between them where they had all the belts. That was something I did want to see, to be honest. So it'd be a shame if they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I could be obviously completely wrong, and they just go, yeah, it counted. But I feel like it was so screwy that they're just not going to go all in on it. So
this is the thing. Like, I don't think they'd have had that questionable end if they weren't going to do something with it where they're going to suggest it doesn't count. So maybe they're just setting up for a rematch. I don't know, but like to question whether it was even official makes me go, well, they're obviously going to say that it's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, it could be an interesting dynamic to have, your tag champions feuding over the belt at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know whether they might go that route with it or something. But then if we do that, I don't know how the tag titles get lost either. So definitely going to be interesting to see where it goes. But I think to a degree, that's why part of it is a highlight, because we are so intrigued and we don't know what's next.
Yeah. So yeah, bit of an unusual one.
And then the final highlight I've got was actually the Drew and Dolph. So I thought the stipulation choice from Dolph was actually really smart. I actually quite enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't just like okay, well, we're going to have a ladder match or something. It was like well thought through. So if anyone who hasn't seen it or can't remember, the stipulation was that the Extreme Rules only applies to Dolph. So therefore, Drew has to behave like he would do in any normal match, so he can be counted out still. You can't hit him with any objects, things like that. So basically, Dolph had set it up to have all the advantages, because he could do whatever the hell he wanted, and like the allure. How do you say it? Allure for Drew was like too strong, really, because there was times in that match where like he picked him up on the outside and he was going to like suplex him through a table, and he had to stop himself halfway through, and like he was constantly questioning himself, and you kept thinking several times like he's going to cost himself the title here, because as part of the stipulation is if he would have broke any of them rules, he could lose the belt on a count out, he could lose the belt on the disqualification, etc. So I just thought it was really enjoyable. It's very rare that you see a heel just pull off something so clever when they have a choice of a stipulation. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna hit you with a kendo stick or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like this was well thought through, I thought.
And it does wonders for Dolph because he took the loss, but it made him look really quite savvy as a heel as well.
I think it did wonders for both of them because like Drew absolutely dismantled Dolph that whole match, and fucking Dolph was like a ragdoll that whole match. But the story the pair of them told as well, where even though Drew didn't care and he was battering him, there was so many times he nearly cost him himself, and so you could start to see as the match went on and kind of question every decision he made. I just thought it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. Very enjoyable match overall.
And the only other thing I want to point out in that match as well is how fucking good was the little nip-up Claymore. Like, how much better is it to have like an RKO style, like out of nowhere, boom, than like a Claymore countdown?
This is the funny thing. Like, it's funny you mentioned the RKO because it's a lot like the RKO because you enjoy an RKO out of nowhere much more than you enjoy when Randy's there beating the mat, waiting for them to get back up. Like when you see it coming, it's not quite the same. But and it also kind of annoys me because like while he's counting down, how is the other guy not know what's going to happen?
Exactly. Like
if you're staggering to get up and he's going Claymore countdown, you're going to roll out of the ring, aren't you?
Well,
you're
exactly.
going to get booted in the face. So it kind of annoys me that they signposted so much. Same with the RKO. When Randy's there signposting what he's going to do, doing his Viper thing, it's like, well, why the hell are you turning around? Like, why are you not just getting out of the ring? But yeah, much more enjoyable when they're out of nowhere like that because you almost have to double take and be like, whoa. Yeah, totally agree. Awesome.
It used to like bother me massively as well when Shawn Michaels used to do it with the Sweet Chin Music. It's like you're literally shaking the whole ring, mate. Like,
yeah,
how
do they not know what that is?
You're stamping. It's like, come on. But no, I just think like hopefully this is the end of that fucking countdown because it's so cheesy. And this was just like out of nowhere, boom, and it was like, holy shit, he just hit a Claymore.
I mean,
and like that
if you're
move's
throwing
so
a Claymore party in Claymore country, then you do a countdown, don't you? But
well, this is true. It's a countdown to Claymore Eve or whatever. Happy Claymore.
Yeah, I like it.
Get it? Yeah, something like that. You can take that chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad, I'm sure. But yeah, so from a highlight perspective, that's kind of all I had. To be fair, I'm not saying the rest of the stuff wasn't great, but I'm guessing you'll probably agree that the more shite, which don't know if you want to run through those.
Oh yeah, let's run through those, Cal. I'm going to start with my favourite one, right? And that was this fucking eye for an eye match, right? Jesus. WWE did not half box themselves into a corner here. And this is one of these times where they needed some shenanigans. They needed to do something because for those who haven't seen it, they remove Ray's eye, which they clearly a fake eye, right? But we had essentially Seth trying a few different methods and then ultimately going for the ring steps again. Then he removes his eye and is so disgusted with what he saw, he starts throwing up himself. Nice, why not? Yeah. So we see like basically Ray lying there with this fake eye on the tip of his hand or finger or whatever, like trying to be like, oh, my eye's been removed. And it's like, why did we even try and pay this off? Why not just have some shenanigans where no one lost an eye? It was a stupid stipulation that you tried to follow through with. And do you know what? What annoys me a little bit more as well is what era are we meant to be in? Are we still in the PG era? What is this?
Who knows?
Like, are we now going to be selling little Rey Mysterio action figures with removable eyes for the kids? Is this the kind of shit we want them pretending and emulating?
Think of all the different coloured Rey Mysterio masks now with removable eye.
Think of how suggestible kids might try and emulate this and jab each other's eyes into steps now.
Well,
nice one, WWE. Way to play to your demographic, which is actually, I'm not even going to start talking demographics. Fuck that. But yeah, just the whole thing, like it would have been a decent match except for this stupid stipulation and this very unrealistic. I don't know how you feel about the finish to this card, but I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking pathetic.
This is in a world where I see people get burned alive and buried alive, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like,
yeah, I mean, It was though, wasn't it? Like there was no way you could pay this match off, and the fact that he still used the ring steps, like he came down to the fucking ring with a pair of pliers straight away, and then he ended the match vomiting because he pulled out his eye, and it's like, okay,
like, you plan on doing this with a pair of pliers, you lunatic.
exactly. You literally tried several times to fucking gouge his eye out as hard as you could, and yeah, I don't know.
And again, it still beggars belief that Ray with an injured eye would go for this match. Like, he suggested this stipulation. Like, what were you thinking, Ray? You didn't stand a chance, apparently.
Yeah.
And let's look at Ray's current run, who is apparently a free agent, FYI. Let's look at his current run with WWE, right? He's been thrown off a building and had his eye taken out. It's not a good run for Ray.
He also got choked out by Shayna Baszler, didn't he?
Got choked out by Shayna. But the funny thing is, right, this is where they have to backtrack all the time as well. This is where the big, massive spots become stupid because, like, Ray's thrown off a building, oh my God. And then you go to Raw and it's like, oh yeah, it was only a 4-foot drop onto another little building. And then it's like, oh my God, he's had his eye removed. And then it'll go to Raw and it'll be like, yeah, the surgeons managed to put it back in. It's all fine. Like, okay, then, guess that wasn't that gruesome. Extreme? Nah, it's fine. It's just another week. Yeah, all in all, didn't enjoy that. Again, there was some good work from the pair of them, but the whole concept just ruined this match for me, I'll be honest.
I think the only way to sum it up finally is just, aye.
As far as this goes, mate, we just don't see eye to eye. That's all I can say. So, we've mentioned the weird finish to the Banks Asuka match, so I won't go into that. But let's talk about another weird finish, Carl. So, we've already kind of covered it in the Ringside Report, but MVP declaring himself the champion by forfeit for the US title because Apollo was unable to compete. Now, how do title matches work, Carl? I'm a bit lost with this because you can be DQ'd normally and not lose your title. So how do you lose it by forfeit? Like, this isn't normally a title thing, is it? I know this is like a self-declared MVP thing, but like, what the hell? He's made himself his own belt, like, and he started wearing it and calling himself the champ, basically. Like, has WWE ratified any of this? Are they calling him the US champion? I don't even know.
I mean, if we're perfectly honest, do we even know who is what champ at the minute? No. Because you've got the whole Sasha thing. Is she actually champ or isn't she? You've got the whole fucking MVP thing. And then you've got fucking, 24/7 title and everything. Like, who's really the champ of anything anymore?
No. Does anyone even care? It's clusterfuck of a title. But
nobody knows.
I don't know. It's funny that they've put a very unlikable title on a very unlikable person. Because I'm not a fan of MVP's current run, and I'm not a fan of that new title. So maybe it suits quite well. I don't know. The other note for this one as well for me is the fact that Lashley is just such a he's left Lana and gone to MVP as his manager, who's going to give him loads of opportunities. What opportunity did you get here, Carl? Yeah, you can strap the belt onto me, Bobby. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Bitch.
Exactly. I said it last week. Like, you've got the guy as your manager. You got your world title shot. Didn't do anything with it, and then was like, okay, so US title, nah, I'll take that actually, and you can, be my bitch. Worst manager.
This man. And now, obviously, we're going to end up with like a Wardlow situation where he's just going to be his enforcer, so no one will get near MVP to get the title back off him. And that's what Bobby's become. Nice one, Bob. I can't moan about it too much because it was a good match, and we've talked about the fact it was a good match. But I do have it in the O'Shites. The fact that Owens versus Murphy was a last-minute addition, like so last minute that it hadn't been mentioned until like on social media the night before or something like it weren't mentioned on any of the shows, and that kind of bugged me. It's like, you could have built this a little bit at least. There was literally no build, and it's only through the sheer good work of Murphy and Owens that this was a good match. Like, it just smacks of like really poor planning from WWE. This, like, I hate when they do stuff like this. Like, have you even considered your card yet? The hell?
Yeah.
And then the last one, which will require a bit of discussion because I'm intrigued what you thought of this. So let's talk about the cinematic masterpiece that was the Swamp match. So we saw some things, Carl. We saw some things.
We did see some things.
The main one I want to zone in on.
Saw some bad things.
The main one I want to zone in on, which seems to be a talking point on social media, was Alexa Bliss, which is not a name you'd expect to hear in a swamp match. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, she's Sister Abigail." Now, I'm intrigued by that concept, and I think this could be an interesting storyline thing, especially Alexa, who's not doing a lot at the minute. But a lot of people have pointed out that this was after Braun was bitten by the snake. And yes, those who haven't seen it, he was bitten by a snake. And this was an hallucination, which makes a bit of sense because she was talking about the fact that he's always liked her and so on, which, you know, they had Team Little Big and they kept making sexual innuendos and the fact that there's a bit of sexual tension there. So, you know, it makes sense that he was like fancying her and she's manifested in his mind and it's been designed to taunt him. So I don't think she's specifically going to be Sister Abigail, but what do you think of that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever know who Sister Abigail is. I think this was just like if you think back to the John Cena version of this match, it was basically just designed to get inside, you know, the opponent's head and you know, find their biggest weaknesses or their biggest problems or whatever. And I feel like they just pulled the Lexi thing into it because there was always that unresolved thing where there was that, what was it called, the mixed match.
It was based on a bit of a shit joke, to be honest, because it was that mixed match, but then they kept going like, we're going to go all the way in the tournament, and you're like, yeah, we get it, you keep insinuating you're going to have sex, it's funny. But yeah, there is a little bit of history there, and it's nice that they managed to use something, because what other history is there for Braun? He likes to shout.
No, I mean, I was definitely surprised by it, but I don't think it's an Abigail thing. I think it's
people want it so much, though. Like, I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of pressure to do something with Abigail. To be honest, I personally think that it should always be shrouded in mystery who Sister Abigail is or was, or whether it was even just a manifestation of Bray's mind. But like, we should never have Bray dressing up as Sister Abigail like he did that time. We should never really have Alexa. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, maybe, but I don't know if she could sell that sort of creepy character. Like maybe a heel. She's a fantastic heel actually, but selling that sort of creepy character, it'd be a massive change up for her. And right now, I'm thinking maybe not. But I think there's a lot of pressure there. Like people were so on for like Liv being revealed as Sister Abigail, for instance. And obviously that didn't happen. She apparently was. I don't even know if she was actually a lesbian, but they come out with the whole Lana thing when she first come back. I don't know what that was. But I don't know.
I mean, to be fair,
but
you know,
I think
she doesn't know who she is. She's trying to find herself.
Yeah,
maybe she finds out who she is, Abigail. But
it was so funny if you saw her wandering around the swamp. I'm just trying to find myself.
Oh, I wish. Like, can we edit that in somehow? I think like there's probably like maybe it could have been Paige at one point. Like she could have fit the mold. I think if there's anyone on the current roster who could do it, maybe Nikki Cross. But I think it would be too big of a gimmick change for Alexa. I'm not saying that she couldn't pull it off, but I don't know. I think she's already got a gimmick as such. Whereas Nikki Cross went from being an absolute psychopath as part of that NXT stable to now just being like weird, like fucking Scottish nan, basically gimmick at the minute.
It's almost, to be honest, Nikki would almost be too perfect for it because she could play. We can kind of see it from an NXT run to now that she could play that duality that Bray does as well.
Exactly. Like I mean, I could see that happening
at the same time, you know.
But I think if they don't capitalize on it, I think Abigail is just the puppet from the Funhouse. I think it's all she's ever been.
I think Abigail needs to be a mystery. I don't think she should ever be revealed. I think when you know too much about something, it kind of ruins a story. Like there's a whole folklore there to it. Like
what's inside Eric Rowan's cage? It's a mystery. It's oh no, it's a remote control spider. Yeah, it's dead. Okay, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we ruined it. We ruined it. Over. Yeah. So like that was strange in itself. I don't even know if you could call a proper finish on this because they had the whole drowning in the lake thing, and then sort of the fiend emerging from the lake, and then has he killed Braun. He obviously hasn't killed Braun.
So,
but is there a finish there, really?
was this match for the title? No.
No,
Okay.
they made that very clear that it wasn't going to be for the title because they were going to have Bray win, you see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it is silly, isn't it? So I guess you could say Bray won if you're going to go there then, because there's no risk. But
as far as the results go, if you look at any results like on the internet, they class it as a win for Bray, which makes sense because he was kind of the last one you saw. You know, the Fiend emerged. So, and we're clearly going into a match between the two of them with the Fiend. But I was kind of soured on this straight away because it was not for the title. It's like, well, okay.
I wonder how many people turned off after that first credit scene came. Because he did the whole thing that he did in NXT previously, didn't he? Where they flashed up the end graphic, and then all of a sudden it carried on. Like, I don't know whether they were trying to be cool, like a fucking Marvel movie or what. Not like after the credits.
They'll stick around. No, they won't.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the main thing to take away from it was the fact that the Fiend is back now, and that's what we've been wanting, because that he's the one who's going to be able to take the title off Braun. So, you know, I think if they have
not straying away too far from the match, do you think the Fiend still has the same charm after all the whole Goldberg incidents?
I mean, I think it hurt him massively, but obviously he's still very protected. That's his only real loss, isn't it?
Yeah, and we did have that. Like, the last time we saw him was that awesome cinematic with John Cena, which wasn't a proper match by any means, but like that featured the Fiend. So, and it's not like we were all like, yeah, what's the point in this? He lost to Goldberg. But I'm just intrigued because that was a massive fuck you to Bray when they did that.
Yeah, I think because we haven't seen him haven't seen the Fiend character for so long as well, that they've done such a good job of keeping it like out of our minds by having it be Bray and having it be Swamp, like the old Swamp Bray.
Yeah.
So I think to see it again, like you forget how creepy that fucking mask is.
It is.
You're like, ooh.
It's a work of art, really, isn't it? Really good.
So like, I don't know. I think it's never going to have the shine it once had after the Goldberg loss, to be fair, but it's still going to be hopefully protected. Like, if it gets to the point where Bray just beats him now as well, then obviously he's fucked, isn't he? But
yeah, I see what you're saying. And yeah, overall, for me, the only thing I want to say on the match, and the reason I probably put it in the O'Shea's other than the confusing bits, where the fact that this was probably the weakest of the Bray Wyatt creepy cinematic things. Like, and this is including like his other Firefly Funhouse matches that he's had with Randy and stuff. This, for me, this was probably the most boring in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't want to discredit it too much. It was still something a bit different and still entertaining. And I do like the Fiend and all that, but I don't know. This is probably the weakest from the cinematic stuff we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as good as the Cena one. Like, I think that's because, you know, Cena could play his own, like, he could carry himself, whereas Bray did fuck all in this, didn't he? Like, the best things Bray did in this, the best things the best things Braun did in this was fighting himself and laughing maniacally as a guy got set on fire.
Oh, yeah, he enjoyed the fire, didn't he? Yeah.
Other than that, he did fuck all, did he? So
the thing, like I joked earlier, but over the SmackDown stuff, but genuinely, Bray has had to carry Braun all the way through this feud.
Oh god, yeah.
He's this is one area that I don't know if he can work on it. I genuinely don't know if Braun has it in him to have any decent mic skills, but he's got nothing there other than being that sort of monster redneck guy. Do you know what I mean? He's not really got any mic presence. Even when we've seen him come out and try and talk trash with Miz and Morrison, that just hasn't worked. It's not good.
No, definitely not. You know, it was kind of surprising and quite, you know, like, oh god, wow, Bray's the champ when he beat Goldberg.
After that, you're like, I want you to really think about that. I want you to really think about Bray as Braun as a champion. And the more you do, you're like, I mean, he's held the title now for 100 days.
Yeah.
Or more obviously. But it's like, really?
I suppose that the thing we forget is that Braun was the one who beat Goldberg. So maybe by having the Fiend beat Bray, beat Braun. Jesus Christ. Why have they got such similar names? Maybe by having the Fiend beat Bray. Braun, fuck. Then,
wait, the Fiend beat Bray?
I mean, it could happen.
Maybe having Strowman lose to...
yeah. Maybe we have Strowman lose to Braun. Damn it. No, I think could that kind of undo the damage that was done? Because effectively, even though The Fiend didn't beat Goldberg, he's managed to beat the guy who did. So maybe he's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Maybe he's been able to reclaim or save some face again that way. But I don't know. I mean, it is WWE, isn't it? So we're saying all this, and they're just going to have fucking Braun win, probably. So
yeah, it's they must see it themselves. They must see that it's quite a boring title reign.
yeah, I think they're probably okay with it because there's no fans and stuff there. But
yeah, that silence is because there's no fans. Yeah, it's no difference. The arena could have been packed and it would have been that quiet.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, it was better than I expected. Probably Extreme Rules as a whole.
Yeah.
Really not happy with the eye for an eye match, but as a whole, there's a lot more going on than I thought there would be. I think I'd probably give it a 3.
I was going to give it a 3 as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I think obviously the even though it wasn't that good, the Braun and Bray cinematic match was still fun. Drew and Dolph was good. Asuka and Sasha was good. And even though I was a bit annoyed at the finish at first, I think as we both kind of come around to, it's not necessarily the worst thing. We're interested to see how it plays out at least. And the rest of it was just kind of a bit, well, obviously the pre-show was great, but it was on the pre-show. And I was more annoyed at that fact than anything. So that's why I'm a bit like, and Cesaro won as well. So all in all, it was pretty good, to be fair. So yeah, definitely worthy of a 3. I think it was better than, I legitimately thought it was going to be a horror show. So
yeah. So in all fairness to them, yeah, they put on a much better show than I think either of us were expecting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So watch it, guys, if you haven't already. Although if you haven't already, we've totally ruined it for you.
Our bad.
So that is This Week in Wrestling. That is our unique segment of the week, being the Extreme Rules discussion. That is A to the K for another week. So that being said, guys, we are on every bit of social media we could find. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on what's the other one? TikTok, Instagram, we're everywhere. We're on YouTube, we're on anywhere you find your podcasts. Go on, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. Do you have friends who love wrestling? Recommend us. Do you have enemies who don't love wrestling? Recommend us. It'll annoy them. It's all good.
Look how close we are to that 5K.
Look at that. Wow. So close to 5K, guys. Come on.
Get us that 5K.
So, that being said, guys, thanks for listening. And as always, we will see you next week. The same time, the same place, probably. Who knows?
Or a different time, but probably still the same place.
Most certainly the same place, but, random times. You just never know. Never know where we're coming from.
That's the excitement, keeping you on your toes.
On your toes. So until next week, guys, we'll see you all again.
Take it easy. This week's episode is brought to you by floriday.co.uk, where you can get all the latest news about Florida, Disney, and Universal Studios, as well as valuable tips and touring plans to get the most out of your Florida holiday. That's floriday.co.uk, the sunshine state of mind.
Well, hello, Carl and Anthony. Hey, it's the hardcore legend Mick Foley saying hello. What a beautiful afternoon it is. Wow, gorgeous May afternoon. There's a view of the river at the Foley compound. Just want to say hello to you guys and let you know that I'm looking forward to listening to you on A to the K, the podcast. I am not yet exposed to much in the world of podcasting, but I think I'm going to start. I hear great things about you guys. I appreciate you being fans. I'm going to go out on a limb and just guess that you guys are big wrestling fans. So I'm going to thank you for your support over the years. Have a nice day.